What's going on, guys? If this is a new podcast that we are doing in this channel, we wanted to make it more special and more business related. So this is the first ever podcast of Business in Focus. And if you guys are wondering what's this podcast about, we want to share more of an in-depth sharing session of a business. So it will not just be me, it will be also other people, other CEOs from different companies and different niches to share their experience and how you yourself as a up and coming business owners, or even if you're a business owner in the middle of your journey trying to succeed or trying to overcome a certain struggle. So that's why this podcast is all about. So our first guest. If you guys are watching this from YouTube, you know who this guest is. But if you don't know, this guy's freaking famous, and he's trying to maintain his face. So,
No, not really. Yeah.
without further ado, guest, please introduce yourself.
Hi everyone. My name is Alex. I am the owner of a pie thing that is based in Damansara Utama. And most recently, I also opened another restaurant bar right before the pandemic. It's called Tapao, which specializes in paos and cocktails.
All right, cool. So, if you guys don't know, a pie thing, what are you doing? It's like the most well-known pie shops in Damansara, especially Damansara Uptown, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, just tell us, why did you decided to start an F&B business? Out of all the business in Malaysia, right? Why did you decide F&B?
Actually, I've always wanted to do my own thing, regardless of what industry that would be. F&B was, I would say, the lowest hanging fruit at that time at the time in my life. Starting out, I think I started out a pie thing when I was 25.
Oh.
So that's relatively young for a business owner. At that age, you don't really have much, I guess, technical knowledge or experience in
Yeah.
a lot of other things. So I think venturing to F&B was I would say, easiest. Yeah, easiest to get into at that point of time because you don't really need like a technical knowledge or experience prior to opening a restaurant. Of course, it would help, but then again, there are also a lot of examples in the real world that of people opening F&B businesses without any prior experience. So what I did was I found two partners who had a bit of like I would say experience, like non-formal experience in F&B. Like maybe they bake from home, or they like cooking since young for their friends and family. So I found them, and then we decided to like open a cafe together. Yeah.
Okay. So, those who are watching this, I'm actually very surprised on how well you're talking right now. So, a little backstory. we shot a video together. I think last year, was it last year? End of last year. Right?
End of last year.
Yeah, and it's just a totally different
Yeah, it
Alex.
was quite awkward. Because it requires some acting, right, from my side. Yeah.
Okay, alright.
Not
So,
comfortable with acting.
but no man, dude, you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's quite a surprise that you are
Right,
talking.
right, right.
quite
Yeah,
well.
I'm better with like casual interviews. Yeah,
Nice,
yeah,
nice. All right, so let's tell us more about like a pie thing than your Taobao business.
yeah, sure. So Python specializes in pies, as you probably can tell from the name if you haven't been there or tried it before. Specializing in savory, which means like meat pies, as well as sweet pies. So
Okay.
that's the desserts. Like they look like tarts, and usually one pie is enough for one person, and we intentionally made it that way because before us introducing pies to Malaysia, I mean it's not a new thing. We do have pies in Malaysia even before us opening here, but traditionally people see pies as like snacks or like a tea time meal instead of like a proper legit full meal. So this is quite different, unlike places like maybe in the UK or Australia, where people can actually have pies as like a staple meal. So we wanted to bring that culture in somewhat. So we decided to do like bigger portions of pies, make them very filling. Maybe serve them with like toppings like mashed potatoes, gravies, or mashed peas. So it becomes a complete meal for people. Yeah, so essentially we want to bring that pie culture into Malaysia at that point of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you started out pies, right? What was the year when you really actually opened a pie thing?
We opened in May of 2014. 2014.
2014.
So we are approaching our 8 year now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So during that time, right? Because usually pies are not a delicacy that you eat during dinners. It's like desserts.
Yep.
Like what made you think that okay, pie is gonna be like a main
Yeah.
lunch
So
thing?
I spent a year studying in Australia. So I was exposed to this pie trend or culture over there. Yeah. So and that's where I learned that actually people can have pies for like as a meal, as a staple meal to have for dinner or for lunch. And then we realized that there basically, there was a gap in the market for pies. So and at that point of time, we wanted to, like I said, my friends and I, we wanted to open a cafe, but we didn't want to do like a traditional cafe, like where you serve like just coffee or maybe eggs Benedict or
Yep,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, at that point of time, it was really trendy.
Yes,
I'm not sure if you
those
remember that year.
cafe
Correct.
hopping. Yeah.
That cafe trend. But we didn't want to be another one of those cafes because we had very big dreams and aspirations. I will put it at that point of time, being young entrepreneurs. We didn't want to get lost in the crowd, so we thought like, oh no, we needed to do something different. We needed to do something special. So we brainstormed for quite a bit. Hey, what can we do here? Then we thought like, okay, maybe we can try pies. Maybe we can introduce pies to Malaysia because I don't think anyone else is doing it at that point of time. So yeah, so we are here today. I guess.
Alright. So any of the recipes that you started out like 8 years ago still existing until now?
Of course, I think you can tell with almost any other F&B in the business out there.
Yep.
There will be alterations and slight adjustments to the standard to basically the recipe that we started out with at the start until today. It won't be entirely the same. So I'm sure if we can go back in time and you try probably the lamb pie from our shop at that time,
mince pie,
the pulled lamb pie,
Yeah.
pulled lamb pie is a shredded lamb meat.
Yep.
Yeah, and versus the lamb pie that you have today, it's the same name. We still have it on the menu, but I'm sure you'll be able to tell the difference.
Okay.
So I think it's normal with any other F&B. So probably we need to adjust to or cater to feedbacks, customers' feedback, or maybe there's an ingredient or supplier change. Just very slight alterations, but I'm sure in the 8 years, every slight alteration would add up, and then it would become another product at the end of the day. But to answer your question, we do have like the pulled lamb pie, the chicken mushroom pie, which has been in our menu from day one.
Nice. There's one menu. There's one pie in their menu. It's called strawberry something. I forgot their full name.
It's
Yes.
strawberry cheese. Yeah.
Yeah, oof, best. You should guys try it. I tried like so many times when I came there. Even during our shoot time also we took
Right.
strawberries, right?
Correct.
So I just want to ask, right? Like in every business, there's always like up and down and good and bad and those challenges we are facing. So in for people who's looking to start an F&B business, right? What are the few things that they should be known or know before they started?
I think people will need to they need to do their research firstly. It's very stereotypical. It's a very stereotypical answer. I guess. Very cliche, but I think it's important to actually know what you are selling. Yeah, that is the gist of it. So essentially, what product are you planning to sell? Who are your target consumers? What is your selling point? Where are your sales channels? The location and things like that. That's very standard stuff. Of course, I think most people would be able to answer them on top of their head. But I think it's very important to actually list it down, maybe in like a document, like in a PowerPoint or in a Word file, so that you can consolidate all these ideas into one. And it's always better to journalize and note down everything that you have, whether it's in your head or whether it's what someone told you, because it will actually help you to, create structures for your business idea, and then you probably you will see better whether the idea is good or not, whether you think it might work or not. Yeah. So just get the basic stuff sorted out first, and then of course you do those. You have to do it lah. The projections, the numbers. Not everybody likes that.
Yep.
Not everybody likes that, but you got to at least do like a basic one. Yeah, so that you get an idea of like probably how much you need to make to break even, you know, how much will your rough expenses be per month, this kind of very basic stuff. I think it's important. And but most importantly, on the other side, on the other hand, right, don't spend too much on this journalizing or this formulating of your idea or this proposal aspect of your business, because what a lot of people do is also they spend too much on that. Then it creates more stress for them, because like, oh no, how am I going to make this amount of money to to make back my investment? Yeah, etc. etc. So so basically what I'm saying is you got to also take the first step, and you will never be fully prepared. That's my first advice to any other aspiring business young business owners. You will never be fully prepared, and so you just gotta, while you are doing all this planning and preparation, although you're not fully prepared, you just gotta stick to and commit to a date to launch it.
So usually, do you propose like a short term launch date or a long term? How long do you propose or suggest that the research should be done?
Okay, for example, a pie thing took actually 1.5 years of planning. Yeah. So we actually started planning in 2012, 2013 when we were 23, 24.
What's the majority of the planning time goes to? Is it the recipes?
Okay.
Or what?
Yeah. Actually, we spent a lot of time trying to perfect the recipes, because we knew that, I mean, you want to open a food business. That's your niche. That's your product, right? That's your USP. So you have to make sure the food is good, especially coming from a non-formal F&B background. So we needed to be sure 100%. And also on top of that, why it took some time was also because all of us had full-time jobs before venturing into this. So we only met like once a week on the weekends to like do some R&Ds, coming up with recipes and things like that. And even then, I tell you,
Like, was it recipe time? Did you actually cook yourself?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so we went to a friend's house and actually cooked and tried out the food ourselves. Yeah,
Okay.
And even then, I tell you, like, although we met, like, we spent so much time on trying to finalize the recipes. One day before opening, we only had like 1 or 2 pies finalized. Yeah, one day before our launch date. So I'm telling you that don't follow me. But then do better planning than that. But then
no, just learn from the experience.
But maybe it also shows that you don't really have to be 100% fully prepared all the time. So you just gotta wing it as you go along.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, you do have another restaurant that just opened up. I think 2 years ago, right?
Correct.
2 years ago. Excellent timing.
Yeah. So it was in January 2020, right before the.
I mean, people know what happened 2020.
Yeah.
But so speaking of those preparation that you did for a pie thing, right? For the new restaurant, which is called Dabao, I'm pronouncing correctly, Dabao. Was it the same steps you took in from a pie thing, or did you did something differently?
So just a slight introduction on Dapao, because I haven't mentioned it. Yeah. So we actually specialize in baos. So like the Chinese baos, but they're like open face baos. So they are more like a Chinese burger. But then we don't use traditional recipes. So we try to modernize the recipes a little bit, more Western influence maybe, or like modern cooking elements into a bao. And again, the bao, you can have it as a meal. So and it's also a very niche thing, like pies, like a pie thing. And at the same time, we also have we also sell cocktails at Dabao.
Oh, so that means it's a restaurant half bar.
Yeah, restaurant bar.
Okay.
Yeah, so of course, I thought that I would be like, oh no, I open a pie thing. You'll be so like, I'm so experienced in like FnB, FnB guru, right? So, but then again, of course, you think there will be steps which will be easier in the planning process. Since I opened a restaurant, right, a relatively successful restaurant, cafe, right? So I thought that it would be much easier this time. I mean, of course, the experience would help in the planning process. So in terms of like the licenses I need, in terms of the renovation aspect, like of the equipments I might need for a shop, these things would be easier. It's a bit like fast forward little bit, but maybe like times 1.5 not really times like more than that. You know what I mean? Because there you'll be bound to face obstacles and problems, maybe new ones that you never experienced before.
Yeah.
When you open your first business.
Yep.
Also because it's not entirely the same concept. So there were a lot of new things that I had to learn on the way as well.
So what are the new things that you actually learned?
Yeah, for example, because now the new place will serve alcohol. So for example, there will be new licenses that will be required.
This we'll be discussing later on.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
very interesting topic about this licensing. So
Yeah. So
please
that's
continue.
I had to learn that the hard way. And I mean, essentially, you are selling a different product. So although it's food, but then you are selling a different food. So there will be different ingredients needed. You know, it's like saying that you want to open a bakery and open a fine dining restaurant, and the equipments that you need will be totally different, and the investment that you need will be totally different as well.
Yes.
Yeah, and the manpower that you need will be totally different as well.
Yes.
Although the gist of it is, oh yeah, we are in FnB. You know, it's a very very broad category. But like a bubble tea business is in FnB as well, and a fine dining restaurant is also in FnB. So there's actually quite a lot of things that I had to learn also. A lot of new things I had to learn along the way.
Okay. So this is restaurant you opened by yourself or with other people?
Yeah, it's with another different partners. So a pie thing and tapao had I opened with different partners.
Okay, all right. So speaking of like all those stuff, right? Like the important stuff of bringing customers is into your restaurants is marketing. That's the main essential of any businesses. So what's your take on F&B marketing? Because right now, I mean, I will say like the most leading F&B marketeers are Burger Lab.
Correct.
My Burger Lab. They I don't know what they found something in their mind, but the way they market is very different. So how do you take the bao and pie thing marketing?
Okay. Maybe I'll relate this to a little bit of a background of myself.
Okay.
I come before venturing into a pie thing or my first F&B business. I was actually in advertising. I was actually working in an advertising agency for
Okay.
about 4 years. I was doing media planning over there, so like media buying, media planning for my clients. But of course, you do a lot of creative strategies and things like that, where you learn along the ways of how do you protect your brand, how do you create a brand, how do you protect
Those
it,
content
how do you sell
planning.
it correct? And then essentially you have to protect your customer's brand and things like that, and you know how important is branding it, how important branding is. I'm sure you will know as well because you
Yeah.
deal with clients.
Yes.
Yeah, you know the CI, you know the corporate identity. You make sure everything is according to
Hassle lah.
the colors and things like that.
Yep.
But then again, I think this will be very useful knowledge for me in terms of the marketing and branding for my business, my own business. So I learned a lot actually in that 4 years. So I try to apply it in my businesses as well.
Yep.
So for example, a pie thing, we knew that the logo needed to stand out. So it's actually quite simple, but it's actually we like it a lot because I feel like people can easily remember it. And what we did was we stamped the logo everywhere. So in our packaging, in our serviettes, wherever we can in the shop. So because we wanted that to be top of mind when people think of us, I think this is quite a good practice for a lot of business owners.
Yeah.
Also because I think a lot of new F&B businesses, maybe at least during that time, they didn't really care about all that.
The identity,
the identity
right?
part,
Yeah.
the branding and identity part. So they just I have a name, Cafe Alex, for example, but they don't really focus on the logo. They think that the food and service that's the most important.
It's kind of weird though. So earlier we had another podcast in the morning. We were talking about this as well. Like, like the brand identity subconsciously relates to your brand. So he was talking about like, hey, my background studio, they all thought is this, but actually I was shooting for somebody else. But that background become an identity for his business.
Right.
So it's just the
Sometimes
subconscious.
it's correct, subtle things where sometimes you never notice even in the first place. Yeah. So
Even the a pie thing, shop arrangements and how you plan it out also, it's a subconscious design.
Or maybe we never even thought that it would be a subconscious thing.
It's like Starbucks lah.
Yeah.
Starbucks, Tea Life, every time we go, it's the same thing only. But subconsciously, we know it's actually a Tea Life or Starbucks shops.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So, for speaking of pie thing, right? Who came up with the name A Pie thing?
Yeah. So again, maybe
Was it like a eureka? Okay, yes, I got my name ready.
yeah, it was quite like that. Because of course we had a lot of options, so we were.
Is it okay if you can, if you still remember, like one of the first drafts for the name?
No like
Just one lah,
a
just
lot
one
of
lah.
like
One if you
cheesy
remember.
stuff like like the pie factory or like pie lab or like
Okay,
burger lab.
okay.
A lot lah, but we didn't like it.
A
We
pie
didn't like it
thing.
so much. Yeah, so we thought like, hey, a pie thing. It was one of the options that we had. So we just wanted to make it like we just thought, hey, it's so simple. There's no place like that, like called a name like that
A thing.
anywhere else.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like there will people. It will actually like maybe spark conversations among people like a pie thing. Like what's that? You know? Yeah, and yet just by listening to the name itself, and you know what we sell.
Yeah, it's a unique thing as well lah. Like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. So let's dive into the license part because I feel like this is like not a lot of people will know about it if they don't have an experience in FNB, even yourself as well. Licensing. So can you tell us about the licensing? Because I know that there's a lot of different
Yeah.
licenses. So share us about that.
Okay. For any F&B business, you will need to get the local council license. So say you are opening in PJ, you're opening in KL. So like you get like MBPJ or DBKL respectively.
Oh, that means each area have a license.
Correct.
Oh
have
my
their
god.
yeah, but then so if you're opening in PJ, you just need to get the MBPJ license.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it very hard to get?
Okay, this is the tricky thing. Okay, different council, they have slightly different requirements. Yeah, so there is a general guideline.
Is there anywhere they can find this guideline
Yeah, I
website?
think you can actually Google it, like
Oh, okay,
local
okay.
council restaurant opening a restaurant, like requirements.
Okay.
Yeah, so so there is the general guideline, like all your staffs will need to be injected with the typhoid vaccine.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, and everybody will need to attend a food handling course. But how strict this is dependent on the council.
Wait, does it mean even before you open a shop, you have to go through this process?
Correct. Yeah, so
Oh.
technically yes, you need to like be injected with a vaccine, and you also need to attend a food course even before opening a shop.
Oh,
Yeah.
so wow, there's money burning even
Yeah,
before
yeah,
making.
yeah.
Oh my god.
Okay, that's not the worst part. The worst
Okay. Oh my- that's not the worst
no,
part.
for certain councils, right? They have the renovation requirements.
Oh,
Okay, the worst part would be some places will require to fully tile your restaurant. It's for cleanliness purposes. You see some places with like cement flooring, right?
yep.
Actually, that's not allowed.
oh.
Yeah, actually that's not allowed. For some councils.
Is it only for outside, not the kitchen area, right?
No, everywhere.
Everywhere,
Yeah,
oh.
even the dining area. Because I mean, it is a good point. It is harder to clean if it's like fully cement.
Yep.
And wherever there is food, even the walls need to be tiled. Walls.
Okay, that makes sense lah.
Okay, so technically, right, you need to, and then after that you get like, okay, you need to install a grease trap. You need to install a kitchen hood, and there will be things like that. And you need to submit all these photos to the council to get approval, even before you open the shop. But let's be honest, when you already have all that in place, you still need to like,
Open the shop lah.
Exactly.
Right.
So you just so actually you still need to like, by the way, I already got all these things. Here's my submission for my license.
Okay.
Then you still need to wait for them to come back to you. But
How-
how many people actually
Yeah.
wait for them to revert?
But how long does it take though? Usually, lah. I mean, we all know how well our government works.
Depending on the council again, lah. Yeah.
Okay.
Depending on the council again, lah. But so you get a lot of places, lah. I mean, I just share it out, lah. It doesn't matter. You get a lot of places opening without a license. Maybe in the
Malaysia
first.
boleh.
Yeah. Because okay, so they give you a temporary license.
Yep.
So some councils will actually send a pegawai to come and inspect your shop within a year to give you a permanent license. Yeah.
Okay. So those class I see, right? Those cleanliness like A, B, C. What are those about?
That's actually a separate
that's not
yeah,
licensed lah.
that's not part of the licensing requirement or process. Depending on the council also. This I think, if I'm not mistaken, is part of the Ministry of Health. This is one of their things that they do. Yeah.
So what about the other license? Because I did some research, just like I don't know if it's true or not, like, cause they say for like to serve alcohol in a restaurant, you have a specific license.
Yep.
To serve coffee, you have to have a license.
Okay.
To serve this and that. So how many licenses are there actually?
I think the coffee will fall into the general license. Let's say
Okay.
you're opening a cafe, so you just need to indicate you're opening a cafe.
Okay.
So you want to open a bar, you need to mention. Oh, that's a very tricky one because you gotta mention. Okay, are you just serving? What are you serving? Are you serving bottled beer? Are you serving draft beer?
Is
Are
there
you
difference?
cocktails? Yeah, yeah. So if the moment you are serving draft, which is the tap
Yep.
beer or or liquors, you need to apply for a liquor license. Okay, so when you apply for a liquor license, there's it's quite a difficult process. I
Yep.
would say. I'm sure you heard of it.
Yep.
It takes quite a while to get the license approved.
Yep.
Maybe because we are also in Malaysia where alcohol is a bit more sensitive
Yeah.
to be sold around.
And even there was a commotion recently also about
Exactly,
the
it's
licensing.
about like how we're not going to issue any more licenses and
yep.
things like that. And also most recently they asked the Kopitiam to also apply for licenses to sell bottled beers.
What?
I'm not sure if you remember, like just a couple of months back.
Oh.
So actually they, like I told you, bottled beers you don't need a special license for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then only recently they asked the Kopitiam to also apply for licenses.
Wow.
And they also told like the Chinese medicine halls that they can't sell liquors like that. That was also a controversy lah in the past year.
Is it approved? No, right?
I'm
It's
not
just
sure. I'm not
discussion.
sure what's the latest update on that.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the liquor license part. And then to get this liquor license, you got to get like the customs approval. You got to get police approval.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you got to submit the business owner profile to this police to make sure that you don't have any like maybe criminal background or things like that. At the same time, you got to do like a classified listing on a newspaper to say that, you know what, like Alex, is going to open like you're going to sell alcohol. Like I don't know,
Like to show like, hey, I am selling alcohol.
yeah, I'm not
black
sure.
and white.
Yeah, it's quite a long and very tedious process.
Oh, oh my
And
God.
yeah, and just to add to that, if you want to have a DJ console, or if you want to have a live band, you gotta apply for an entertainment license,
Wow. What the hell?
and that's a separate fee. So you can open a bar without a DJ and a live band, then you don't need to apply any special licenses.
Wait. That means even to hire a performance,
Oh yes, definitely.
is it
yeah.
monthly thing or like an annual thing?
It's an annual thing, but if I'm not mistaken, because I don't have any entertainment, so-called entertainment in the shop, but if I'm not mistaken, it's quite pricey.
So
I think
what-
it goes up 5 figures.
So wow.
Yeah.
So what if it's like a one-time event thing, like like birthday party?
Birthday, but to be honest,
Uh-huh.
I think they can cari pasar lah if they want to, if they found out lah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know there's a license for entertainment. I
Yeah.
only thought for food and businesses. Wow.
Yeah.
Damn, man. How many stress you're going through, man?
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then there's also the music license. That's
sorry, what?
not part of the council or government. There's this association where the moment you play any overhead music, whether it's like, I don't know, Taylor Swift or Ed Sheeran, even right, you have to apply for.
What?
I don't know what you call
Their
it.
license, the music
The
licensing.
music licensing.
What?
Yeah, so the music licensing company
Uh-huh.
that apparently protects all these recording companies or recording production companies. Yeah, so you need to pay them a fee to actually play all these songs in your restaurant, in your establishment.
Damn.
Yeah.
I'm literally speechless right now. So like so many stuff to do.
Yeah,
to
yeah,
like
yeah.
even before opening a shop, you have a lot of license to
Correct.
worry about. So I mean, following up with that topic, right? What's your take on like the future, another 10 years or another 15 years, where the trends are getting more of a cloud kitchen and people are just ordering from their phone and just food comes to them? What's your take? If like you say, right, like getting all these licenses is a hassle. Do you think this is the way forward, or do you think restaurants, physical restaurants, will still be here? 10, 15 years. Because we can share some
Yeah.
our own opinions. Maybe we can start with yours, then I can.
Yeah, sure. I think for me, right, it's always like a cycle. Trends always works in a cycle. So for example, in fashion, you have like the skinny jeans, and then the trend died, and then you have the baggy jeans. Now you're wearing oversized shirts.
Yeah.
And then I'm quite sure one day the fitting shirts will be
Yeah.
back in trend. So I think that this will be similar somewhat in the F&B world. Of course, this online, this cloud kitchen, this Grab food, this food delivery platforms, it's quite trendy now, especially escalated due to the pandemic, right? So it is a thing now, but I personally I feel that physical establishments will still be relevant because the experience is really different.
Yep.
When you get your food delivered to you versus you dining out. There are, from my own personal experience, I think that people still want to dine out. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it begs the question because I myself was before the lockdown. I was like, oh, what's the point of having a physical shop? Because I was conveniently, ordering. I can eat in front of my desk, watch movie by myself, this and that. But pandemic happened. I was so eager to go out with mama, just sit there in open air. So I don't know. This is what I feel like another 10 to 15 years, where there'll no be humans, waiters or cooks or anybody. Is that we just order from my phone and we go to the restaurant. The food is already there.
Oh yeah.
That I'm not sure about that. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I'm sure technology will play a part somehow, right, in the advancement of this F&B industry. Whether it's what you said, the pre-order thing,
Yeah.
or something else, I'm sure there will be some sort of a technology involvement in the F&B industry. But what specifically, I'm not sure lah. Yeah.
That's actually doing Domino's Malaysia is kind of like doing the same thing. It's like you pre-order the food, you just go to them and then just say the number and they give to you, and then you can eat there on the spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what's your take on like those robotic waiters?
Yeah. So
Do you think? Okay, there's a lot of yes or no question lah, but we all need the human element into it. But coming from a business point of view, it's number one, it's way cheaper.
Yep.
Number two, you don't need to invest in them. You can just like code them, program them, boom,
Right.
settle.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what's your take on this? Do you think in the future you will do?
Yeah. So back to what I said earlier on the fact that people still want to dine out, right? I think the service and hospitality part also is a very big factor in that. People want to be served. People want to be serviced. People want to see like a human smiling at them or talking to them. Yeah. So while I'm sure robots and other sort of technology involvement will play a part, will help in this F&B industry in the future, right? I don't think people can do entirely without humans being in the picture in one extent or another. How people actually adapt and balance this is another matter lah. But I'm quite sure there will still be some sort of human involvement lah.
It's kind of weird because this kind of thing happened a few years ago. I'm not sure about the farmer. You are familiar with the farming story or not? When motorized tractors or those machines they can did all the by themselves. Then they say, oh, farmers no longer. I mean, they're not important anymore because we have machines. But I think it's been like 1 decade or 2 decades. Still, farmers are still there lah. So I'm not sure. I think humans are still, clinging on to that human feeling. Like, hey, I want to see a human being.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. So just a few questions before we went to the last question, right? What's your biggest lesson that you learned? 8 years, right? Now
8 years, yeah.
almost
8 years, yeah.
So 8 years of running FnB, 2 FnBs, right? What's the three? Okay, you can share with us 3 of your biggest lesson you learned.
3 of the biggest lessons.
Yeah. Too many already.
Yeah, it's quite a lot of things that you learn on the way. I guess you have to be brave to step forward. Whether it's how I decided to do this in the first place, or throughout the years, I'm sure there will be a lot of decisions that I had to make along the way. Difficult decisions sometimes, right? But you gotta be brave. And if you procrastinate sometimes, then it's your loss. Because I noticed that a lot of things, no, I'll deal with this later. There are other things that I want to think about or deal with. Then if you sweep it under a blanket all the time, it will become bigger and bigger. And then one day the problem will explode in your face.
Yep.
So I would say that try your best to always resolve any conflicts or problems as soon as possible.
Okay. So just want to ask, like, what kind of conflicts do you think it's
Uh,
might, like, you see when we're starting out, might will come
okay,
that they can
so
be aware of?
yeah, so especially if it's your first time running a business, there are a lot of unforeseen issues that you might face in terms of maybe basically everything under the sun, lah, like the suppliers, customers, or like, how come the food didn't turn out the way it's supposed to? How come nobody's walking in the doors? Or like, how come there's like some an object that in my food that is not supposed to be there? Or like even partnership issues sometimes. Yeah, so there are a lot of unforeseen stuff sometimes that you don't really expect, and then sometimes you think that you can deal with it tomorrow, but then
Solve it on the spot.
tomorrow you get another 10 problems coming
Oh,
coming your way. So
Wow.
sometimes the best is to just like try to resolve it as soon as possible.
Okay, but those guys are listening. Wow, Alex is saying problems after problems after problems.
Yep.
But don't get us wrong. Running a business, this is normal for us. Every single day we
Correct,
will
yeah.
receive another problem,
Correct.
another problem. This is what differentiate between an entrepreneur and a wantrepreneur, lah, I would say. So if you guys feel like hearing Alex saying another problem coming in, this is my suggestion. I think you're not suited for this. You can be an employee. That's what I can say, lah. But yeah, coming from that last part, you say problems with your partners. Just want to ask your opinion on this, lah. Like, most people when they start out a business, they always start with, "Hey, I need a business partner. I need 2 or 3 people together with me to do this." Some people say, "Why do I need business partner? I can do it myself." So what's your take on this? Do you think every business should need to have a partner to become a successful brand?
I think it will help definitely to have a partner. It will actually lessen the burden quite a bit to have a partner on board. Then of course you hear a lot of nightmare stories of business partners, right?
Chewing money, run away.
That's one, and then maybe you have some misunderstanding or miscommunication, or you don't agree with the direction of the way the company is going. These things you have to really set in stone lah. before you run the business lah.
The terms and conditions, lah.
Correct, terms and conditions. I think that's very important. And also don't have too many partners. And even if you have like a couple of partners, just define the scope and responsibilities very clearly before you decide to run a business together.
What do you think is a good amount of partners to have?
I think
Like
not more than.
The Goldilocks zone of
Actually,
numbers.
it's hard to say. A lot of people say like maybe 2, 3, right? But then again, it depends on the business, number one, and also it depends on the like which part, like what's everybody's scope. Is everybody doing the same thing? Then of course that won't work.
Yep.
If everybody's doing the same thing, if everybody has a say in everything.
That's why I feel like 3 is like the best number, because this happened to my previous company where
Right.
I had 2 partners only, like just me and my other partner. Is that sometimes when we agree, like there's no like the third person to agree,
Oh,
the
right.
the voting system.
Right.
Like you say
right.
no, I say yes.
Yeah.
We need a third person. I
Right,
always
right,
feel like
right.
3 is like like go to Goldilocks.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's a good number lah, because basically someone to, or maybe if I say A, you say B, then you need the C. You need the third
like
person
the
to
vote-
say
yeah, the
to
vote-
vote
yeah.
A or B, right?
Yeah. That's why I feel like 3 is like the best number lah. So there's
Yeah.
no argument, because
Correct.
2 is like a marriage lah.
Yeah, but then you see, if like I say A, you say B, right? And the third person says
C.
A, right? Like says A, right?
Yeah.
You have to, that then again, it might be a problem if you're a bitter person, or if you're like someone who
Yeah.
wants your way all the time. So again, it depends on the partners that you chose and whether we set these things out clearly before we open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, don't be discouraged if your partners leave. It's like a dating
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
game. Like I had like 2 partners before, but our alignment didn't match up,
Correct.
so that's why we pisah.
Yeah. Actually, that's that's a very good point also, because I think it happens, and it's more than you think. Yeah, more often than we think.
Yep.
To a lot of businesses out there, even Mark Zuckerberg also, right?
There's a whole freaking movie about it.
yeah. So, but try to not be not be overly emotionally invested in it. Sometimes it's for the better of the business.
Okay. So we are coming to the end of the podcast, and before we wrap this up, or you want to plug anything later on, is there any last words or any general genuine advice that you want to give for the people right now? Not like a few years ago or something, but right now, let's say they want to start tomorrow. What kind of advice you can give?
Okay, so I would say like basically take calculated risks. You have to be brave enough to take the first step. I'm actually a very I like planning a lot. Sometimes I plan too much for my own good. I think too much for my own good. But at the same time, like I said, you have to be brave enough to take the first step. Although you might not be fully prepared, 100% fully prepared. Sometimes you just have to take the first step first, and then you learn along the way. But at the same time, I'm not saying that everybody just blindly, go for your dreams, like whatever, like just jump down the cliff.
Again, calculated risks.
Correct. You have to, if you make sure there's some sort of it's calculated lah. That's the most important thing I would say. And it's cliche lah, but basically, if you don't do it now, then when, right? Yep. Because sometimes we wanted to start early, my partners and I, when we did a pie thing, because we knew that the older you get, the more responsibilities and more commitments that you have, then it'll be harder to take risk.
Yes.
So if you start early, you kind of allow yourself for basically a safety net. Say things don't go your way, so that you have time to maybe climb back up again in a different way. But you have to be like, and then what we said earlier also, another advice where we can give is like, you have to be prepared to face problems after problems after problems, because that's the nature of the industry and nature of entrepreneurship, I guess.
Anybody who's running business, that's basically it lah.
Yeah, so one thing that might help is if you have a passion and if you have a very strong belief in the idea or your ambitions.
Yep.
So say you know what, I will take this on because I really want to be successful or whatever. I want this to work. I want this idea to work, and I really believe in this idea. Then I think that will be a good motivating factor for you to
like a push.
strive. Yeah, basically to overcome all the daily problems.
All right. So I mean, adding up to when he said calculated risk, right? So make it simpler, right? Usually this is what I do like before I go into any business, or if I project any revenue, or the quarterly 1, 2, 3, I will draft out two versions. One is okay, break even. Another one is okay, worst case scenario, what will happen? I don't know you do this or not. Every business, okay, this is what my friends will do like, is that every time we will think as what is the worst case will happen one. Okay, business shut down, or I lose one of my equipments missing, or we got into an accident because we travel a lot. So all this I will write it down. Okay, what are the worst case possibilities? I don't know about you, but when I write it down, it gives me comfort. So I know that okay, I'm prepared about this. So is this one of those calculated risks that you also take?
I don't do that lah, because I Chinese people say pantang lah.
Yeah.
Don't talk about this kind of thing lah.
Yeah.
Like choi.
Very taboo.
Don't talk about this kind of thing lah. I don't do it lah, but I do think about this. And basically, just prepare contingency plans when say things like that happen. Plan Bs, plan Cs. But I don't write down like if I get involved in an accident, I will do this, I'll do this. But roughly we all know, like my partners and I will know like what will happen, say something bad happens.
That's a plan for it lah.
I think it's important also. And just to add a little bit to that, to relate to the partnership part, I think it's very important to set very clearly at the start also, say we make X amount of money, what's our next direction? Or say we don't make money, we lose Y amount of money, then what's the next step? I think that's a lesson that people can learn from my own experience, because we didn't do that. So there were like a little bit of disagreement of the next step to take after we like made some amount of money, after we lost a certain amount of money. I think that's very important as well.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, we came to the end of the podcast. I want to say thank you for Alex for coming in for the first ever episodes. Woo! And hopefully, guys, you enjoy this. we have more people and other guests to come in. So if you guys are interested in them, you can subscribe to the channel. I will also link Alex. Do you want your private Instagram to be linked or just your shops only?
We'll see how that goes, lah.
Okay, we'll talk off camera. We see which link you want to put. But
Yeah.
if you want to check out his restaurants, I'll put the link in the description below. And as always, guys, go out there, discover, connect, and inspire. And see you guys in the next video.